Hey, good morning, everybody. I actually got done with that ride, that long ride on Sunday night, and it's already Wednesday, and I just haven't done much. But first, I'm going to do is I'm going to recap the route that I took, and then we're going to go outside and talk a little bit about the motorcycle. So, first of all, what I wanted to point out, so this is the Butler map again. We had trailered our motorcycles from the ten freeway. We came through Phoenix, so we had three bikes on the back of a trailer when we first started. We ended up down here for the night. The first night we ended up here at Fort Huachuca. I had done 8 years Army and then another 24 for the Air Force, a total of 32. So being a veteran, I was able to stay. We were able to stay there for the night, which was great accommodations. And then the next day we checked in at Bisbee here. Now, the ride that I did Bisbee. I came down here to Bisbee Junction and skirted along the border, jumped back up to a little bit of a highway to Douglas, and then Douglas to Geronimo Trail. And Geronimo Trail was all dirt, really cool riding. When I got into Animas, when it goes back to pavement in Animas, New Mexico, final destination for that was Silver City. And I came up here on the 10. There's a place called Lordsburg in this area that's not on the map, and Silver City is further north. When I left for my ride home, when I went from Silver City to Riverside, California, came back up here on the 70, and I did this little loop here, which was really cool and interesting. I ran into some other motorcyclists that were on bigger adventure bikes. I'll talk about that later. Came down here, dropped down, had lunch in Stafford, rode this 70, which was a pretty cool laned highway, actually. There wasn't a lot. Right here where it says Globe, I came into this area and I did this loop, which probably was about an hour and 15 minutes maybe. Very impressive. I wish I had taken more photos or video. This is a very interesting area, stuff I've never seen before. So I came off Globe. I did this, came up here to Superior, and then the 60. And then the 60 went on through the city, and pretty much Phoenix on was the 10. Now, the reason why I actually kept going is because I was going to stay at Luke Air Force Base in Phoenix, but they were booked. So I decided to go all the way home. And then let's go outside on the bike and I'll talk about that. First of all, if you haven't been following me, or this was my original Gen 1 KLR, partying it out. Long story behind that, look at catastrophic engine failure and you'll get an idea what that was. That bike is exactly like what you're seeing here. So that's what that other one looked like when I first started riding. So once again, they're both Gen 1s. They're both 2007, both same color scheme. As you can see, the color of the tank there. I have the original tank there. I have it out for a purpose. I'll tell you that in a second. One thing that the bike, I found out on the bike, a couple of things. At about 70 miles per hour, I was cruising about 5,000 RPM. At 70 miles an hour, 5,000 RPM. I'm going to talk about some of the gearing. I still have the gearing that's on the bike is this gearing here. These are just older ones. 15 in the front, 43 in the back. What I had done when I did Mexico to Canada, I wanted a different gear ratio, and I put this on because I was on strict pavement. So from 15, I went up to a 16 tooth in the front. From 43, I went down to this 40 in the back. I'd like to do that again. When I change out my sprockets, I change out the chain. So I'm not really ambitious to do that right now because I did roll well with the stock configuration for that long ride, 650 miles. I didn't overheat. I did burn some oil. My oil was right a little bit below those lower hash marks. So I had to add some oil to it. Let me see what we're looking at. I'm on a little bit of an incline, but if you can see the view window, you can see where, there we go. So it's right, the level is right there now. When I stopped my ride, I was right above these hash marks. So I was at the lower limit, but I did add some oil. So the gear ratio, I'm imagining if I did go back to this wider span gear ratio down here, probably would burn a little less oil, and talk about what kind of tires I'd be wanting on a ride like that. It might be a little bit more of a comfortable ride, but I'm not going to do it just yet. I'm not going to swap out these sprockets just yet to achieve that. Talking about the tires, so my knobby, these were brand new, never even been used before. There's still a lot of meat left on these, so I'm going to keep these. You're looking at a total of one set of wheels, another set of wheels, another set of wheels on here. what had happened before I bought the second bike, I went out and I bought a second set of wheels to keep one set more off-road with the knobby, the aggressive knobbies, and then the other ones with a 70/30 tire. Now I have 3 sets. What I'll do with the third set, I don't know. So the rear one did lose a little bit. I think there's still a little tread there I can salvage and still use these, so I'm not in a rush to replace those. One thing about running knobbies that long of a ride on pavement, a lot of vibration in my hands and in my feet. My hands still feel it almost today. So looking at my next longest ride, I'm going to be putting on what I would call, I guess, my street tires, I guess. So these are 70/30s, and this front wheel is a Head Now Scout, which I've ran these before. I like them. And then the rear one is a Shinko. One thing I wanted to point out, so this one has a disc brake. I can still use that. So that disc brake stays on this wheel. I'm not going to swap that out. The thing about the front, and maybe I can roll this over so you guys get an example. This is a stock front brake. And I don't know if you guys can be able to tell the diameter, but that's a stock front brake, which I cannot use because I went to this bigger diameter one, which gives it more stopping power. And the larger diameter one calls for the adapter in the back here to push out the caliper to incorporate the larger radius. So if in fact I just wanted to plug and play this one, I would have to buy another disc brake that size to put on the front because this is smaller. Now, once again, these were on the wheel that I'm touching right now. We're on the second bike I bought. I haven't really dealt with those. I just took them off. So I'll deal with that later. I talked about the fuel consumption. So let me see if I can do this, stand this up. So when we were talking about the peacock, I took it out of my old tank, and I'm going to show you what that's all about. So actually the camera's sitting on my old tank right now. So if you pretend that this is their tank, I can't see very well. This is the peacock. So pretend that's sitting in there. What in essence how this works is that's the higher limit. So that's in the on position. And so when it's in the on position, it's flowing down, and when it hits this level and lower, you won't be having any more flow. So you got to change this area to the reserve position. Now this is pointing forward, and this becomes the port of entry. So all that fuel will start draining down, and it'll get to this. So that's how the peacocks work. This is an original Kawasaki KLR one that had the additional port that went to that overflow, that vacuum overflow. Now people were talking about one other way to get gas is tilting the tank of the KLR or tilting the whole bike. I knew that. I'm not going to do it on the side of a freeway when I have my Rotopax with me, and the bike would be heavy. So what they're talking about, if anybody watched it, when they're talking about tilting the tank, let's see if this will work. So what they're talking about, these lower ends, so here's where, if you can see it, here's where the peacock would go. This thing goes right in here. So look at these cheek areas. So what they're talking about is as the bike is riding forward, there's a lot of gas stored in this section. A lot of gas. I'm not sure how much. Enough to get you going again. But what they're talking about is if you tilt the bike down, you're going to move the gas in this pocket over to this side, like that. And then it's going to flow on this side over here. Then when you stand it up, oh, there you go. See a little bit of drip gas? I thought I emptied this totally. But that might be a good example of what people were trying to explain or talk about. So hopefully that helped. So this is 1.5 gallons that I always have with me. So that worked out really well for that trip. When I go to Mojave or Death Valley or places like that, I do have, that's 1.5 gallons. And then this is 1.75. This is almost a 2 gallon. That's for water only. They have a device where you can double stack it like this. You could if I wanted to, but that puts way too much top weight on the bike. And I just have to figure what kind of riding I'm going to do. And am I wanting more fuel or am I wanting more water? I do carry waters in these pouches. I got one on both sides. Oh, going back to the oil real quick. This is the oil I was using, 10 weight 40. To the pouches, I use these Pilot soft ones. I'm really liking them a lot better than these hard ones I built. If I was saying, this has a good look to where I had the way I wanted the bike to look, But functionality, honestly, between the modifications and the expense and what I had to do to get these to where I wanted them, was not worth it. Either buy stock hard cases that are made to design to go on the KLR, or go with the soft ones. Soft ones are great for off-roading if you're going to, you know, potentially drop the bike or whatever. It's a lot better having that behind your leg than a hard case. Experienced riders can probably talk more about that. I've never went down to that extent where I've had any kind of injury. I'm gonna jump back here real quick. These are the solar panels I was talking about. This one actually folds open. I forgot those when I was in Bisbee. That would have been a game changer. I wish I would have brought those. Now these are two other fuel pods. These are what I like about the stove I carry when I'm camping. My stove hooks up directly to this canister and it goes in this bag. This little funnel I carry with me just in case I want to use this gas to put in my gas tank. This funnel just helps, and it nestles right in. I cut the spout off a little bit, but it nestles right in. And if I have to use these to put in my gas tank, this helps. Now, this is just like it. What I do with these when I want to carry them, being that they used to sit in these pods down here. That was my fuel pod. That was my water. Now on this configuration, that's my water. These fuel pods, These fuel pods, what I would do is I would attach them. See these footman's loops right here? These would go right here, and I've already done it once before and they work fine, and it attaches on the sides of this case like that. So I have the fuel for camping. So if I did that, I would probably have these fuel pods, and I'd probably swap that out for water, the white water one you guys saw earlier. So let me put that there. These are the waters I'd always have with me. Those goes on either side. They're about 24 ounces. The different designs, but they fit, they work. These pouches people asked, these are, this is my front, this is our rear tube. There's a rear tube in here, and the front tube is on this side. Carry a front tube here. Surprised at how many people in Bisbee did not carry tubes with them, and it seemed like the people that didn't have tubes are the ones that got the flats. That's gonna be it for now, guys. So like, subscribe, ask questions down below, and whatever your passion is, no better time than the present to get out there and do it. Have a great day.